All right, kids, we're going to get back into graphing quadratics here. All right, during this week, we're going to begin shifting quadratics, talking about the shifts and vertex form. All right, if you guys don't have a graphing calculator, all right, there's a couple of apps that I'm going to post with this video that you could use. They're free apps on your phone. All right, and they work just like the graphing calculator we use. All right, I'm also going to attach this worksheet. So all of these vocabulary terms that we've done already, they should be there. All right, these are terms you're going to want to review, that you're going to want to study. All right, so we're going to graph y equals x squared minus 2x minus 8. And again, I'm going to attach this worksheet as well. All right, so you go into your graphing calculator, y equals, all right, you're going to put in your function, x to the second's on the left-hand side, minus 2x minus 8. All right, hit the graph. The first thing you want to do is go to the graph, get a feel for what it looks like, where the function is, so you know how far up and down you're going to scroll on the table of values. All right, for this one, I gave you the x values to use. All right, so I'm going to go to my table of values, and we're going to go from -2 to 4. All right, and these are the values from -2 to 4. All right, if you're not able to print this graph, all right, sketch it out and make a note of what the vertex axis of symmetry, the zeros, and the range are for this function, and you can make a sketch and write those components down on loose leaf paper. All right, so at -2, our y value was 0. Then it went to -5. -8, -9, back to -8, back to -5, back to 0. Okay, you should see these y values starting to repeat. All right, if you look, the vertex is right in the middle. Okay, you see those those y values repeating on either side of -9. All right, so our vertex, 1 comma -9. Remember, the axis of symmetry is the x value in the turning point. So this 1 is going to help us to get the axis of symmetry. All right, the axis of symmetry is the equation x equals 1. All right, we're going to also plot this, all right? Yeah. So these are the points that we're going to plot. -2, 0, 1, -5, 0, -8, 1, -9, 2, -8, back up to -5, back up to 0. All right, you should connect the dots. It should be curved. All right, I'm going to identify these components in the graph, okay? This turning point, this is our vertex. This is the point 1 comma -9. All right. The zeros, that's where it crosses the x-axis, okay? These are my zeros. They're at +1, 2, 3, 4, and they're at -2. So -2 and 4. And then the range, remember, the range is the y values. All right, so if you look, that's the y value of your turning point. All right, so your range starts at -9, and notice the arrows point up. If it points up, your range is going to be y is greater than or equal to. If the arrows point down, then your range is going to be less than or equal to. All right, so in this case, our low point is -9. Our arrows are pointing up. So y is greater than or equal to -9. So I'm using my turning point, the x value, to find the axis of symmetry, x equals 1. I'm using the y value of the turning point to find the range. That's the -9 in the range. Arrows point up, greater than or equal to. All right, and then this line that goes down the middle, this vertical line, this is our axis of symmetry. All right. So that was the first example. All right. All right. The next example, all right, hopefully you're going to notice that this time it's y equals negative x squared minus 2x plus 3. And that negative in front of the x squared should make our function point down. So if I were to sketch my graph, it's going to look something like this, where the arrows, they're going to point down. All right, so we're going to put in this function, negative x squared minus 2x plus 3. All right, I'm going to graph it first to see what it looks like. All right, our turning point is slightly to the left of 0. So we're going to have some negative values, some positive values, but there's going to be more negatives than positives. All right, so I'm going to go to my table, try to figure out what values I want to use. Okay, if you look, this value negative 21, this value negative 12, that's going to be off of my graph. So I want to go in the opposite direction. So I'm going to hit the arrows up, and looks like I want to go from negative 5 to negative 5 on the y's, negative 4 to 2 on the x's. Right? When the top and bottom y value are the same, those are the values you want to use. So we're going to go from negative 4 to 2. All right, so these are the x values I'm going to use. Then I'm going to go to my graphing calculator to get the values, the y values. All right, once it gets up to 4, the y values start repeating. It goes back to 3, back to 0, back to negative 5. So on my table, I should be able to see that this is going to be my vertex, because right above that 4 and right below that 4, I have the same value, 3. Right? So without even graphing it, I could figure out that my vertex is negative 1, 4. All right? I'm going to graph these points. Negative 4, negative 5. Negative 3, 0. Negative 2, 3. Negative 1, 4. Then it's going to go back to 3 at 0. Back to 0 at 1. Back to negative 5. All right, I'm going to connect these dots. This time my curve is going to point downward. All right, this is my vertex, which is the point negative 1, 4. My axis of symmetry goes through that negative 1 value, the x value. So axis of symmetry, x equals negative 1. My zeros, that's where it's going to cross my x-axis, which is at negative 3 and positive 1. All right? And then lastly, my range. This time, the curve is pointing downwards. You see the arrows point down. So this time the range is going to be less than or equal to. And it hits a high point of 4 on the vertex. So y is less than or equal to 4. Okay? I'm going to do one more example. All right, the next one. This one's going to be trickier. Okay, the reason why this one's trickier is because this time the x value is odd. So when you go to do your vertex, you're going to get a decimal. All right? I believe there's one other example where that happens. All right, so I'm going to go to my calculator. I'm going to type in my function, x to the second minus 7x plus 6. All right, I still want to go to the graph to get a feel for where everything's happening. All right, it looks like all the action, well, most of it is to the right of 0. So I'm probably going to start around 0, maybe negative 1. When I get to the table, I'm going to have a better idea. If you look, see these y values are very large. Okay, I'm not going to graph these. So obviously I want to get more towards positive values of x. All right? So I'm going to go from 0 to 6. All right? And these are the values I came up with. All right? I'm going to pause it, and I'm going to plot these values.